Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Welcome back. Let's continue.
Sadhguru, I'm so lost in your words that I don't want to ask any question. I just want to listen to you. But this is a part of my
that is
job.
that is why you ask a question.
And this is a part of my job too. I'm put here to ask question to you. So I'll put up an intense question to you now. Sadhguru, in context to space and food, should human race, especially in India, now stop reproducing and start adopting children instead?
But to adopt,
I'll answer that question. Obviously, this is my opinion on that. I don't think you necessarily have to stop. Having one child or two children is fine. One or two children, the population will not increase. If you have two children, it will be steady. If you have one children, it will decline. So, and this is the biggest issue, is the fact that when you start having government mandate one child, kind of like what China did, that's very kind of crazy, I will say. It's kind of a how to say, a fearful kind of thing whenever the government has to step in, and then what happens to the second child if you know you're supposed to only have one child. I'd say, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, everyone makes their own choice, but you know, I just don't want people out there to think like, oh, they should have no children. That way, we can reduce the population. No, having one child will still reduce the population. Having two children will not increase the population, but three, that will increase, obviously, because you're replacing the mother and the father, and then you have one extra. But yeah. So 1, 2 children, it should be great, fine. One child, you'll decrease the population.
somebody must be reproducing, right? You mean to say…
But there are
you mean to say robotic…
no, Sadhguru. I think there are many children in the street that need parents and home. So why don't we bring them to our home rather than reproducing by our own? Why don't we parent them? But in the process of doing so, are we losing the very essence of motherhood? And what is the meaning of motherhood according to Sadhguru? That is my question.
I'll say with this one, this is a tough one, obviously. So again, even if you adopt, you having 1 or 2 children is not going to increase the population. You yourself are not increasing the population by having 1 or 2 children. By having 1, you're decreasing the population. By having 2, you are holding steady. You can adopt 50 children. That doesn't mean all of a sudden you gave birth to 50 people. No, those children were already there. Whoever birthed them already increased the population, perhaps increase or decrease, you know, depending on how many they had. But you adopting them doesn't affect whether you yourself contribute to increasing or decreasing the population. By you not having any children, you contribute to decreasing the population. By having 1, you contribute to decreasing the population. By contributing 2, you steady population. By 3, you increase. Adoption does not affect whether you yourself increase or decrease the population. I genuinely, if people want to have children, I think they should. At least 1. Only reason why is you never know whose child will be the one that'll save the world, you know, or have another Sadhguru, Swami Sarvarpiyananda, or any gurus or swamis out there, or the next, I don't know, brilliant person that can develop something of curing cancer or whatever. You know, you never know whose child. Maybe, I will not say that. maybe they didn't make it in this lifetime, you know. Who knows? But now motherhood, that's an interesting one though. Motherhood is, and I guess in my opinion, I haven't really thought about this. What is fatherhood, motherhood? But to keep it simple and just real quick, it's caring for a child, I suppose. A woman caring for a child is motherhood. Fatherhood is a man caring for a child. And teaching them the feminine, or I said, Guru would say the feminine and the masculine attributes to the child to have a balance of both energies. I say energies. I don't know how else to describe it. Like energies in terms of ways of thinking, ways of how to say presenting. Because if we have, and it's very much true what Sadhguru says about these energies, is the fact that I always think in balances as well, but to have an imbalance at any one of those is disastrous, in my opinion.
See, suppose your mother delivered you and did not show any sense of inclusion, she just left you there. Is it possible that she could become your worst enemy? Yes or no? Very much, isn't it?
Yes.
So your mother is your mother not because she biologically delivered you. Your mother is your mother because in various ways she showed you that she is holding you as a part of herself.
Yes.
Just biological delivery did not make her mother. Biologically, yes, because you are from the biology department.
Biology. I was going to disagree with Sadhguru today. Biologically speaking, she is your biological mother. Now, obviously, you can have someone that you say, you can disown your biological mother and say that your adopted mother is your mother as a very much a representation of that because of the different aspects and things that happened.
But in your experience, she is your mother only because of the level of inclusiveness that she has displayed in her life, isn't it? If she excluded you, she will become your worst enemy, isn't it?
Yes.
So for this inclusiveness, for you to include somebody, all it takes is willingness. Yes? All it takes is willingness, not biological capacity to get pregnant and deliver. All it takes is willingness. Right now, if you are willing, can you just look at these people and really see them as your own children? Possible? Possible or no? Maybe you have some issues with some of them, that's okay. I'm leaving those two people. She's just identifying, oh, but these two.
I'm trying to figure out whom do I know in the audience. I'm trying to
You
figure
don't
out
have
my
to know
friends.
anybody. You don't know anybody. But can you sit here like a mother to all of them? If you're willing. Because it's only a question of willingness, isn't it? So the problem is just this, for most people their willingness is coming in installments.
Like a payment plan.
I will accept you, but I can't stand this guy. I can't stand this guy, but I hate this person. Like this. Now he has to do many things to me for me to accept him slowly. But if you really look at it, the nature of human beings is such. Take the example of somebody who's closest to you in your life. Sincerely, don't tell me anything. Sincerely, you look into it and see how many layers of resistance you have for that person who is dearest to you in your life. Yes or no?
Very little.
Many layers of resistance. Because of that, we have become like this. Unless something falls out of my body, it is not mine. Even what comes out of your own body is not yours. Children will make you realize as you grow old. Enlightenment from the next generation. Because biology will bind you only to a certain point. Beyond that, there is human intelligence and emotion and consciousness. If there is no inclusiveness, you will not feel like one. You may be biologically connected, but you may hate each other intensely. Possible, isn't it? But people will fall back on biology because for them, only their blood is functioning, their brain is yet to function. For most human beings, their blood is functioning, genetics are there, stuff is there, but their brain is yet to function. As I told you, it's new, they've not learned how to use it. Generally, they're using it against themselves. They call this stress, they call this anxiety, they call this depression, misery, whatever. Essentially, your intelligence has turned against you, that's all, isn't it so? Hello? You can give it many names. When the psychiatry department comes, they will give you many labels. They have identified some 72 or 74 varieties of mental ailments now. So they'll give you one of those titles. But essentially, your intelligence is turned against you. So, can I tell you a joke? Okay. Because you said it's a very intense and serious question. The biggest problem with human life is, we have taken ourselves too seriously. This is the biggest problem. See, on this planet, you're just a pop-up. Have you seen those pop-ups on the computer screen? They come poop and poop. You are just that on this planet. In the life of this planet, you're just a pop-up for 2 seconds and out. Countless number of people who thought they were bigger and smarter than you have been here before you and me, isn't it? Where are they? All topsoil? Yes or no? This one also will become topsoil after some time, unless your friends choose to bury you real deep, fearing you may raise from the dead. You know, there have been such… This happened. There was a couple in Texas, United States. They were over 75 years of age. It was their life's dream to go to the Holy Land, Jerusalem. But you know, marriage, children growing up, university, marriage and grandchildren, da-da-da. Once you start one thing, it's a avalanche, you know. Many things will happen. Now they're over 75, now they got an opportunity, so they went to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a place where every cobblestone is bleeding with history. So they walked that street where Jesus is supposed to have walked, felt overwhelmed. Went to that place where Jesus is supposed to have walked upon the water. Like this, they went all over the place. Very excited. Unfortunately, the lady had a heart attack and she died. So the man was preparing to take the body back to Texas. But then the local people came. They said, "This is the Holy Land. This is the right place to die. Your wife has done the right thing. There is no point taking this body to Texas, and taking the body to Texas, the flight charges are $18,000 plus local charges out there for rituals and stuff. Here, because you have lost your wife and you come for America, just $20,000 will finish everything." The man looked at them and then he said, "No, I will take her back to Texas." Then they said, "Okay, it's all right, because you're from Texas, we'll give you a super discount. $12,000, let's do it. This is the place, you know, the Holy Land." The man thought about it and then he said, "No, I'm taking her back to Texas." Then they said, "See, you lost your wife of 45 years. You're not thinking straight. You're distressed. Don't do this. This is the place to die, you know, right place. Because you're distressed, we'll give you super discount. We'll make it $8,000. Let's do it now, come on, come on." The man thought about it and said, "No, I'm taking her back to Texas." They said, "Why? What's the point?" He said, "In Texas, dead stay dead." You're not getting it, not getting it. So…
I will say whatever their audio is to block out all the other laughter and stuff. I mean, it's a little bit much because it's nice to hear, I guess, the audience laughing and stuff. You can kind of pick up on it sometimes, but it's a little too good, you know. It cuts off a little bit of Sadhguru's very beginning and very end when he talks. I've noticed that in the very beginning. I was like, that's kind of strange. I don't know if they were manually doing it, but very good mics though, because it's picking up everything very clearly too.
Our biological connections are important, I'm not saying no. But we have overly exaggerated this. This I'm calling as Dhritarashtra syndrome. You know, Dhritarashtra, at any cost my son, he's a bloody idiot, it doesn't matter, at any cost my son. Unfortunately, after 5,000–6,000 years, it's still going on. I get down in Chennai, if you get down at the Chennai airport, First neon sign advertisement is a fertility clinic. I say, my God, in India you need a fertility clinic? What you need is an infertility bomb.
A bit harsh, but I get it.
I'm not propounding any kind of philosophy or ideology for you. See, in 1947, when we got our independence for this country, the average life expectancy of an average Indian was 28 years. 28. Since then, today, the average life expectancy is around 66 or 67, which is a phenomenal achievement for the nation. When we postpone our death, should we not postpone our birth? I'm not talking any philosophy, any ideology or any kind of religion. I'm talking simple arithmetic. You postponed your death, should you not postpone the birth? Hello? So right now, it is not that too much reproduction is happening. Yes, it's happened, but it is not that excessive reproduction has happened, it's not true, we've managed that. But people are beginning to live little longer, which is a wonderful thing. Yes? People are beginning to live longer. Everywhere you go, I was at the World Economic Forum, there were, at that time in 2008, there were 4 union ministers gloating to the foreign media, we are the youngest nation in the world, we are the youngest nation in the world, our demographic dividend is like this, like that. I thought, okay, once, twice you say it, it's all right, but they said it half a dozen times. Then I asked, what happened to the old people? They said, no, 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 we are the youngest nation in the world. All right, but what happened to the old people? No, no, we don't have old people, we are the youngest nation. All right, but why? Because nobody got old, everybody died young.
Ouch.
See, is it not unnatural that you don't have old people in a society? Is it not unnatural? Only young people are there means what? Nobody got old? It's a dangerous situation. Yes, well, now people are getting little older, wonderful. So now we must also graduate our reproduction a little bit, calibrate a little bit. In this culture, largely in the Indian subcontinent, at certain times of history, we had it like this, 70% of the population was in family ways of life. 30% was ascetic. They were taking sannyas or whatever, they're never getting into that aspect. Just this managed the population very well. Just this one thing, 30% never engaged in sexual activity or marriage or anything, they did not produce children. So the remaining 70%, even if they had 5 children, by the time the child becomes 15, normally nature made it into 2 or 3, always. And periodically there were wars and people died more easily in the past because there was no such medical thing. Those who were not fit to live, they died. Today we have many things, it's all great that we've done certain things for the human well-being. But we must also understand the land that we live upon also has a life. It's a life by itself. You can't just be occupying every square inch of it and thinking, we are doing something fantastic. You're stupid.
Suffocated.
Because today there are some studies which say, if all the insects on the planet die today, let's say all insects died today, in about 4.5 to 6 years' time, all life on the planet will disappear simply because there are no insects. Except deep down in the earth, there are certain microbes which may survive. If all the worms die today, in 18 to 24 months, all life on this planet will disappear, including you and me. If all the microbes disappear right now, all of us will be dead within 1.5 hours. But if all of us disappear, planet will flourish. Yes or no?
Well, I agree with him. It's anything in the top of the food chain. If whatever's in the top of the food chain dies, everything will flourish. If the things in the bottom of the food chain dies, things will start to. It's a workup effect. I don't know what you call it, but it's like a pyramid. You know, a pyramid thing. And there you go. Then anything in the foundation of it, if that crumbles, everything will fall. But if the things on the top will crumble, well, the new top will be the top, and then you know it will still be there because the foundation is still there. It's the way I look at it.
So one wrong perception that's happened, religions have spread these messages saying that we were made in the image of God. So all other creatures are here to serve us. No, please just go and look at the movement of ants. An ant doesn't think he's there to serve you. He's got a life of his own. Yes or no? You interfere with that, he will do what he has to do to you, isn't it? Does he think he's there to serve the human being because you went there, all of them put up their front legs and did this to you? Huh? He's got a complete life of his own. His life is important for him, isn't it? So these ideas that the planet and all the life was made to serve humanity is a very wrong idea. First of all, this idea that the creation is human-centric is the most dumbest idea we have on the planet. This creation was not made for human beings. We are just one consequence of the creation. On this, the biggest problem right now humanity has, why we are doing what we are doing, whether it's reproduction or construction or whatever else we are doing, why we are like this is, see, in this cosmos, nobody knows where it begins, where it ends. In this cosmos, this solar system, this sun and these few planets, 12, 14 planets, it is a tiny speck. Tomorrow morning, if this speck of a solar system just evaporates, nobody will notice it, it's that small. In this tiny speck, planet Earth is a microspeck. In that microspeck, Shillong is a super microspeck. In that, you are a big man. This is not a small problem. This is not a small problem, this is a very big problem. So everybody wants to leave their footprint. Reproduction largely is a footprint. People want to leave a footprint. I'm not saying nobody should have children, nobody should have children. But once you become human, the difference between us and other creatures is, whatever they do, we also do. They eat, we eat, they sleep, we sleep, they reproduce, we reproduce, they die, we die, all right? We're doing the same things. But the significance of being human is, we can do it consciously. Reproduction also must happen consciously, isn't it? Hello?
Thank you, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, how can a person stay committed to someone in a relationship? Is it natural to love someone and yet be sexually attracted to others? What should be the proper course of action that should follow, or how does one handle this?
Ooh. So, how to stay in a long-term committed relationship, and is it natural for others to be… for you, if you're in a relationship, to be sexually attracted to others? Oh, well, there's not dating videos, those red pill videos, manosphere videos that I've been watching. I watched them. I understand where they're getting at. It can be a little bit extreme, a little bit much. Okay, so here's some weird, controversial ones in terms of how to keep long-term relationship. Well, from women that I've heard how to keep their men happy, and it's something that again, I don't know how many women do this or whatever. It's just the few that I've heard. It's gonna sound really weird, but I think I get it to some degree. Anyways, so these women heard it from their mothers, and they say that, you know, if a man wants it, give it to him. So I'm sure that's a very controversial thing, but again, this is something I've heard from women who have successful relationships along with their mothers saying that to them. Because I guess they see it as something very kind of small, minute, and also there's quite a benefit between both parties. Like one of the women that I watched that kind of talks about this kind of things, it's mostly like a lot of Western issues in terms of relationships, saying that, you know, women saying, oh, I'm not feeling it, and whatever, you know, the different kinds of excuses or whatever, or reasons. She said that whenever she does it anyway, she actually feels so much, her headache is gone, the cramping's gone, whatever problem she had is gone after the fact. And I can from personal experience, I can verify some of that. Anyways, so for the women out there, if there's any women watching this, obviously, you know, give it a shot, I suppose. You know, it's up to you. I'd highly advise following successful women's advice, not just random women. So for that. Now for men, I think men, and this has been throughout so far of all the videos I watch, men are very, very simple. They want very few things, and if you can give them those very few things, generally speaking, they'll be quite loyal. Women are a little bit different. They're more difficult to please. They require much more. And for men to keep a woman, you kind of have to work at it, you know. I don't know what those things are, so I've not heard the other side of the story, which is probably not a good thing. But yeah, you have to put in a lot more effort, I believe, to keep a woman. Whereas for women to keep a man, very little. Men are very simple. But let's see, what else? Is it natural for, say, a man or a woman to be sexually attractive to someone while in a relationship? I'd say yes. You can very much be sexually attracted to other people and stuff. It's just a matter, because you are a conscious being, you have a conscious decision to make there. So I'd say yes, it's very much so. I guess it's because it's part of our human nature to be successful at reproducing. So you're going to want to spread your seed. As a man, you want to spread your seed as much as possible. For a woman, you want to keep a man until the child is old enough to take care of themselves, and probably find another man to make another child, because just in case the one child doesn't make it, then you have the other child with a different genetics or whatever. I'm not sure. Something along those lines.
See, there is a psychological integrity, there is emotional integrity, but there is a biological integrity also. Integrity does not mean morality. Integrity means you create a situation where it works best for you. So when we say integrity, suppose I say, there is a certain integrity to my body, this means it's strong and resistant to a whole lot of things, isn't it? It doesn't mean I'm morally stuck in something. So I'm talking about… I want you to understand the word integrity in that context. We're talking about integrity in terms of strength of this life. So if that is the thing, is it true? Do you remember how your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother 10 generations ago looked like? Do you remember? No. But her nose is sitting on your face. Yes or no? Body remembers, isn't it? Body remembers your forefathers 1,000,000 years ago. Yes or no? So what you're calling as my body is a heap of memory, isn't it so?
Yes.
Memory or no? See, now from Nepal you came to Shillong, you eat a lot of this Meghalaya food, your features won't change because your body remembers what is your genetics, no matter what. Or you start eating, let's say, cow's food or dog's food, your body will not get confused and become a dog or a cow because there is evolutionary memory in this. Do what you want, it never gets confused, isn't it? You start thinking I'm a dog and start barking like one, still the body won't change. Yes or no? Mentally you can, but body has such a deep-rooted memory. So this entire body, what you have, is essentially a certain integrity of memory. If that loses that memory integrity, then you will see it will become vulnerable to so many things. Now, the nature of the body is such that anything that you touch with a certain level of involvement will naturally absorb that memory. Not mentally, physically it'll absorb that memory. Traditionally in this culture we call this runanubandha. You heard of such a word? Runanubandha. What this means is physical memory that you gather. Why people, you will see this with people, let's say in their home, they will go and sit in one place. This will usually the older people you will see, they want to go and sit in the same place. They won't sit in another place. Have you noticed this? Even your dog, he comes, if he wants to sit here, he'll smell this, he'll smell that, he'll smell that, he'll smell that. And after much searching, he will settle down in that particular place. Next time you chase him somewhere, he comes, he goes and sits in the same place. Because there is memory. Today there is forensic equipment where you're sitting here right now, you went away. After 2, 3, 8 hours, if they come, not with a dog can easily do it. But with forensic equipment, we come here and just check this chair and we know it was you who was sitting here, not somebody else. So there is memory. Wherever you sit, stand, whatever you touch, there is memory and transaction happening all the time. Well, you come from Nepal, in India also it's very much there, in south is very strongly there, north maybe it's become weakened. People never give salt to another person. Do you know this? Here also? If somebody gives you salt, you say, please keep it there. Because there are certain materials which transmit memory much better than others. Salt, sesame seeds, lemons, like this, if you give traditional people, they'll say, keep it there, I will take it. Because they don't want to develop runanubandha with you. Now, in India, if you see older generation of people, if you try to shake their hands, they'll do like this, because they don't want to get runanubandha with you. Because the idea is to keep the integrity of your body's memory in such a way that it doesn't become vulnerable to other things, that you become a very integrated life. If you want to nurture yourself to be a certain possibility, then you have to maintain the memory integrity. This is what runanubandha means.
Real quick,
You keep your physical memory to the minimum.
So don't take dating advice by me, by the way. That was just merely experiences that I had that I thought I would share. So yeah, do your own research. Just those were merely my opinions and things I've heard. I thought I'd share it. Thought it was a fun fact. Anyways, I'm wondering if this one was. It's kind of interesting where they don't shake hands. It's more. I wonder if that's more along the lines of, because obviously you spread diseases by touching other people or things in general, but another way is by shaking people's hands and you're touching your face all over the place. Like, I wonder if that was probably like a really smart to, when you meet people is to, either, bow or some type of gesture where you're not shaking people's hands. Sorry, I was just thinking like, shaking someone's hands and you go, kss, kss. You want some? It seems like it's really like you have dirty hands. Let me wipe it off real quick. But I honestly, I think the bowing is definitely a much better way to, as a shaking hand. I don't know what it's called, a greeting, I guess it is. I think that's a significant better, just a bow, a small one. It doesn't have to be like anything grandeur or anything like that. Just a bow of acknowledgement. I think it's significantly better than shaking hands.
A sexual interaction is something where a huge amount of memory is taken from one to the other. So always, not in this society, everywhere else, forever people saw the advantage of keeping that memory to the minimal. If you make that memory very complex, you will see to be at ease will become very difficult after some time. There will be pleasure, but there will be no joy in your life. You can observe people, don't go by what I'm saying. You can observe people, they will have pleasure, they will giggle all the time, but you look at them, there is no joy in them, there's no ease. because the ease will go away with excessive memory. This is not only with sexuality, there are many other things that you do like this. Right now you see this very much in the Western societies.
Okay, I'm glad he's going to talk about this. Again, this is something like these other videos that I watched, which I was sharing my experience a little bit earlier about, is the fact that, you know, what is it? Western societies, you know, the dating in Western society is pretty bad. You know, it's a lot of what they call one-night stands and stuff, and I think it's really terrible. And it's really weird, though. Again, watching these shows, these are women who are coming up to these kind of shows, and they're saying these things. They're contributing to the things that they like but hate. It's really weird. They don't like it, but yet they still participate in it, and it's kind of really very odd. And don't get me wrong, both women and men. Men's a little bit different, though, I will say, for biological reasons. I'm not saying all men are fine with this. There are a lot of men who suffer from these kind of things as well too. But I think women tends to suffer a little bit more just due to biological things. Again, things I've heard about these talks, about research that's being done. It's pretty crazy. I won't go too deep into it, but yeah, do your research. I'm curious to hear what Sadhguru has to say about that. He's going to talk about the one-night stands things going on in Western societies.
Wherever I go, especially in America,
Yeah.
people will come, Sadhguru, where is my hug?
Oh.
I say, it must be with you. Why is it with me?
Oh, different.
It is not like at a certain moment when you feel close to somebody, you hug them. It's like all the time you have to touch people. Because today's psychiatrists are analyzing these things and saying that is because they have not been sufficiently touched by their mothers and parents at an early age. When they grow up, they're desperately longing to touch somebody all the time. All these things have a serious impact on one's life. How much physical contact when the child is born, this will determine how much physical contact they will long for later on. And the memory of what an infant picks up from the mother at that time, because till a child becomes 4.5 years of age, in many ways, energy-wise, it's not a separate life. It's still attached to the mother's body. Actually, if by nature if people go till then, they must be drinking the mother's milk and connected up to 4.5 years, that's how naturally it was. So, the energy doesn't mature. At that time, more and more memory that you get from the mother is better and better to strengthen this. But once the child begins to move out and becomes an individual, life is organizing itself. People come to me and say, Sadhguru, can you bless my daughter, can you bless my son? First thing I ask is, how old? If they say 15, 16, 18, all right. If they're over 21, I say no. Because me blessing you, blessing will not go to your child. You may still think emotionally that's my child, but as far as life is concerned, it's become fully separate. Generally, the course of life is considered to be approximately 84 years or 1008 cycles of the moon. The cycles of the moon and our body is very directly connected. Only because our mother's bodies were in sync with the cycles of the moon, we are born, otherwise we wouldn't be born, isn't it? Hello? So, a full life is considered 1008 cycles of the moon, which will approximately considered as 83 to 84 years. So if one crosses 84, it's considered a full life. In this, the first quarter is the only time when it is connected to parentage. After that, the child must move, because energy-wise, you cannot connect those two lives anymore. So that is when the longing, if you have not created enough integrity within yourself, the longing for another body multiplies. Even though the hormonal phase may be higher between 15 to 20, the longing to bind and bond with somebody increases after 21 years of age, because unknowingly you're like a satellite who fell off the main mother. You come off the motherboard Now you want to attach to something unless you find some integrity. This is why between 12 and 18, one must do lot of sadhana to strengthen the body so that you don't desperately bind yourself to something or somebody. You must consciously, if you wish to take a partner, it must be a conscious process. If it's a compulsive process, then you will pay the price for it. This is not a question of morality. It is not that this is sin, that is sin. The question is, what is your priority in your life? If your priority is to make this life rise to a higher possibility, then you must be conscious. If you want to somehow live and go, it's okay.
Bang, I actually had something to say and I don't know what it is. Let's see. Okay, I remember now. Anyway, video's over with. Now I'm just gonna talk for a little bit. So I'm wondering if the people that says always wants a hug and stuff, I'm wondering if they're just that kind of person, you know, that they love hugging people and stuff. They're very, whatever that is. I knew someone like that, always wanting a hug, and you know, I don't know whether I never, ever since hearing this, I'm kind of curious to ask them if they, you know, did they lack being hugged when they were a child? And I'm just wondering if they said no. You know, I'm sure there are some people out there that, you know, they've always hugged their parents before leaving, hugged before going to sleep, hugged every day when they were growing up, and that's just something that they're so used to that they know to hug people. You know, because they grew up like that, and that's what they do every day, and they think it's a normal thing, kind of like how our cultures are developed. Whatever happens in a culture tends to be the norm, but when someone from outside comes in, they see that it's strange because it's not part of their culture. That doesn't mean that it's abnormal. So so I'm wondering if what would Sadhguru say about this? Like, you know, children tends to grow up mimicking, and there's no scientific back, and this is my kind of assumption, we tend to mimic our parents a little bit because we pick up traits from our parents, and which is something I believe Sadhguru said here, is we kind of pick up traits of our parents, or our habits and stuff. And this, I guess scientists kind of see this too, where, you know, they see if they have bad behaviors in parents, children are going to have bad behaviors as well. So anyways, you know, I wonder if Sadhguru would say, like, what would it say to, like, you know, what if the household that the child grew up in, they hug every morning, they hug when they see each other when they come back from school, or before, hug when they wake up, hug before they go to school, hug when they come from school, and hug when they go to bed, like almost every day. And that's kind of like a language that they have, you know, a language where, you know, they hug people that are, you know, friends or close, you know, that they feel comfortable with, and maybe not strangers. I guess it is a bit odd for a stranger to ask Sadhguru for a hug, but then Sadhguru is a very famous person, so there are going to be people out there who think they know Sadhguru or know famous people just because I watch your YouTube videos, or I watch your movies all the time, or follow you on Twitter or whatever it is, and I know a lot about you because of following this. But between me and Sadhguru, I know more about Sadhguru than Sadhguru knows about me, at least in terms of the interaction that we have so far. You know, I doubt Sadhguru knows I exist, but by listening to Sadhguru, I have some ideas of his ideas. Whereas he's never met me and never talked to me, and I may feel comfortable to say, hey, Sadhguru, you know, like my buddy, old pal. But of course, Sadhguru is going to say no, because, you know, again, he said, like, that, I forgot what that word was, but I'm kind of curious about that. I wonder what how that system work. Let me see if I can find it. 106 there 40. If you Runanubandato. I probably said it wrong. Hold on, let me hear Sadhguru say that.
I will take it. Because they don't want to develop Runanabandha with you.
Runanabandha. Runanabandha. But that, yeah, I wonder what that is. So, develop that. Is that a type of relationship? Or... It's like I believe from what I've heard him say here, it looks like it's a transfer of energy. But I'm wondering if that's also because, you know, when you touch people, you tend to transfer illness and stuff, and they've seen people who touch other people maybe become sick or whatever, and maybe that's the reason why they say, you know, don't touch or whatever. And I'm wondering if this transfer of memory has something to do with also transferring of sickness. But then again, salt actually kind of cures a lot of things, cures like meat and stuff that make it safe to eat for long periods of time. I don't know, I'm just very curious about this. I wonder if I can find something about this. Anyways, again, merely all my opinion and stuff here. If you disagree, please leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to read about it. I've been trying to keep up with reading in the comments, even though I've not been replying. I've been very terrible at that. So anyways, some more action for at least part 2 for this one. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.